The world quiets, the mind softens, and in the stillness of night, something deeper begins to stir. You close your eyes, expecting rest, but instead, you enter a space where time doesn't exist, and the heart is free to wander. This is where the soul speaks, loudly, clearly, without hesitation. It doesn't need language. It doesn't wait for permission. It speaks through symbols, feelings, places you've never seen, and yet somehow remember. And often, it brings them back to you. Not always in obvious ways. Sometimes just a glimpse, a sensation, a feeling that they were close, so close, even if you couldn't see their face. In dreams, the rules are different. You don't need to understand. You don't need to explain, because your soul already knows what's happening. Maybe you meet them under a starlit sky, where no words are spoken, but everything is understood. Maybe they walk toward you on a beach that seems both familiar and eternal. Maybe it's just a touch, a soft moment of connection that leaves your chest full when you wake. It doesn't always make sense, but it always feels real, because it is. In the sacred stillness of sleep, the walls come down, the noise fades, and the frequency of your heart becomes louder than your thoughts. This is when the soul reaches across dimensions. This is when twin souls remember each other, not through logic, but through vibration. And when you wake, there's an ache, not painful, but deep, like something ancient rose to the surface, like you were touched by something beyond this world. You weren't dreaming nonsense, you were remembering truth. So the next time the night falls and your eyes begin to close, know this: you are not drifting into nothingness. You are returning to a place where the soul speaks its own language. And if you listen, you just might hear them calling. It begins like any other dream. You find yourself in a place you don't recognize, yet it feels familiar. You're walking through a hallway, a forest, a distant city, and then you see them. No introduction, no explanation, just presence. And with that presence, a wave of energy that leaves no doubt. It's them. You don't question why they're there. You don't ask how they found you in this world between worlds, because your soul already knows. You're not dreaming. You're remembering. Their touch feels like electricity. Their eyes feel like home. Every word exchanged, whether spoken or silent, carries a weight that lingers long after you wake. These aren't ordinary dreams. These are soul encounters, meetings beyond the veil, moments of recognition that can't be explained, only felt. You wake up breathless, heart racing, tears in your eyes, not from fear, not from confusion, but from the sheer realness of it. You can still feel their hand in yours. You can still hear their voice. Even though it was never spoken out loud, you can still feel the love, the ache, the unspoken knowing that passed between you like a current. It shakes you, because everything in the dream felt more real than the waking world. And that's how you know. Your soul just made contact. You didn't imagine it. You didn't create it. It was a reunion, a remembering, a message wrapped in emotion. Sometimes these dreams replay, the same beach, the same embrace, the same conversation you didn't have in waking life, but one your spirit needed. Other times, they evolve. The dream changes, the setting shifts, but the essence remains. You see them and you know them. These dreams aren't about fantasy. They're not romantic projections or wishful thinking. They are the language of the soul, the proof of a connection that transcends logic and time. In spiritual terms, these are known as astral meetings, or soul plane encounters. They happen when two souls, especially twin flames or deep soulmates, connect on a higher frequency, often during sleep when the conscious mind steps aside. And though you may wake up with no physical evidence, your heart knows what it experienced. These dreams can bring comfort, but sometimes they bring longing, because the memory of that connection, so vivid, so alive, makes the absence in waking life feel even more intense. Still, there's a gift in these dreams. They remind you of the truth beneath all illusions. Love is not bound by time. Recognition is not limited to the physical. And some connections, they begin long before this lifetime. So don't dismiss what you feel. Don't brush it off as imagination. Your soul doesn't speak in logic. It speaks in asterisk memory, in asterisk energy, in dreams too real to ignore. What you experienced matters. It's part of your path, part of your awakening. And even if the world tells you to forget, your soul will always remember. It doesn't happen just once. They appear again and again and again. Different dreams, different places, but always them. Sometimes clearly, sometimes as a silhouette. But the energy? Unmistakable. You try to forget. You try to move on. But at night, when your mind lets go, the connection returns, uninvited, yet undeniably familiar. You wonder, why do they keep showing up? Why now? What does it mean? These recurring encounters aren't accidents. They're soul invitations. Reunions beneath the veil, each one echoing something deeper. Something unresolved, something remembered, something sacred. Maybe the setting shifts. One night you're dancing under the stars. The next, you're sitting in silence on a mountaintop. Sometimes you speak. Sometimes you just feel. But always, there's a knowing. A recognition that goes beyond faces, names, or form. These dreams aren't chasing fantasies. They're reflecting truths your soul already knows. That connection still exists, that something within you still seeks alignment, healing, or closure. Often, these recurring dreams begin when you're undergoing a shift, emotionally, spiritually, energetically. They come when you're being asked to go deeper, to listen, to awaken a part of you that's been asleep. And it's not always romantic. Sometimes the dreams are comforting. Other times, they're intense, even painful, because the soul is speaking in symbols, in emotion, in energy that the conscious mind has yet to process. You might wake up confused, or longing, or deeply moved in a way you can't explain. The repetition is not punishment, it's guidance. It's a reminder that something inside you is ready to be seen, to be felt, to be healed. So instead of resisting, start asking, what is this dream trying to show me? What part of myself is being reflected through this person, through this moment, through this feeling? Because every time they return in your dreams, they bring a message. And it's not always about them. It's often about you, about your growth, your journey, your readiness to see beyond the surface and into the soul's deeper mirror. Recurring dreams are a sacred echo. They will keep coming until you've heard what your heart needs to know, because what keeps returning in the dark is often what your soul refuses to forget. You open your eyes and something feels heavy, not in a painful way, but in a way that's hard to explain. You feel full of emotion, of memory, of something invisible that refuses to be shaken off. It wasn't just a dream, you know it. Your body knows it. There's a weight in your chest, a quiet ache behind your eyes, a softness in your heart that lingers long after the night has passed. These are emotional hangovers, the soul's echo of what it lived while the mind was asleep. Maybe the dream was beautiful. You held them. You heard their voice. You felt their love, pure and unconditional. You woke up smiling, tears slipping down your face, wondering how it's possible to miss someone so deeply, even if they were never yours. Or maybe the dream was intense, a confrontation, a goodbye, a moment that reopened something you thought had healed. And now, in the light of day, the feelings remain, like fog, like perfume, like the aftertaste of something divine that can't quite be explained. This is how the soul works. It doesn't wait for convenient timing. It doesn't need your permission to feel. It moves in waves, especially when you're resting, especially when you're open. And when the experience is that vivid, that emotional, you don't just wake up and get over it. You carry it. Maybe it makes you quiet all morning. Maybe it leaves you distracted, sentimental, nostalgic for a moment you didn't consciously choose but deeply lived. And that's okay. You're not being overdramatic. You're not too sensitive. You're just waking up with your heart wide open. These dreams are initiations. They bring to the surface emotions you've buried, truths you've been avoiding, love you've been afraid to admit you still feel. They soften you. They crack you open. They remind you that no matter how much time passes, your soul never forgets what was real. So instead of pushing the feeling away, pause. Honor it. Light a candle. Write down what you saw. Cry if you need to. Let your heart express what your mind can't yet translate. Because sometimes the dream is the message, and the emotion that follows is your soul still speaking. You didn't imagine that connection. You felt it. You still feel it. And that, in itself, is sacred. You wake up, heart pounding, breath caught in your chest. You had a dream so vivid, so real, you almost expect them to be lying next to you. And then, hours or days later, they say it. I had a dream about you. And it's the same dream. The same place, the same emotion, the same energy. It's rare, it's intimate, it's undeniable. Welcome to the realm of shared dreams and telepathic connection, where souls don't need phones or words to find each other. They simply feel. You might think it's coincidence, but deep down, something in you knows. This is more than chance. This is communication on a higher frequency. Twin souls, or deeply connected soulmates, often experience dreams that seem intertwined. One begins a sentence, the other finishes. One sees a vision, the other feels. One cries, and the other wakes up in the middle of the night without knowing why. It's not imagination, it's resonance. You're tuned to the same emotional wavelength, and when that bond is active, especially during heightened spiritual awakening, the connection transcends physical limits. Sometimes it's subtle, a quiet knowing, a sudden memory that doesn't feel like yours, a phrase that pops into your head. And later, they say the exact same thing. Other times, it's aloud, a full conversation in a dream, a detailed memory shared by both, or waking up at the same hour, feeling the same ache, the same presence. These are not just signs of love, they're signs of alignment. Two souls orbiting each other, still communicating through the heart, even when silence exists in the physical. Telepathy between twin souls isn't always dramatic. It can be as gentle as a whisper, as soft as a feeling, as quiet as a name appearing in your mind just before a message arrives. And while this can be confusing, even overwhelming, it's also deeply reassuring, because it reminds you you're not alone in this. They feel it too, even if they don't fully understand it yet, even if they're far away. So trust what you feel. Honor the dreams. Pay attention to the coincidences. Write them down. Reflect on them. Breathe into them. This connection is alive, not because you want it to be, but because it is. And sometimes, the soul speaks not through words, but through dreams shared in silence. Not all dreams are echoes of the past. Some are messages from the future, clues, signals, sacred whispers from the universe, gently nudging your soul back into alignment. When you're asleep, your mind loosens its grip. The doubts fade. The need to understand dissolves. And in that open space, the soul listens. This is where divine guidance slips through the veil. You may find yourself standing at a crossroads in a dream, unsure of which path to take. You may receive a letter or hear a voice say just one sentence, simple but piercing. Sometimes it's just a symbol, a white feather falling in slow motion, a locked door, an ocean stretching into infinity. These aren't meaningless images. They are sacred metaphors speaking in the language of your soul. And if you pay attention, really pay attention, you'll start to notice patterns, messages repeating, themes resurfacing, emotions rising that mirror what you're resisting in your waking life. The dream might show you a version of yourself you've been hiding, or a wound you thought was healed, but still lives quietly beneath the surface. It might reveal a step you need to take, or affirm the one you're afraid to. Sometimes, the universe uses dreams to prepare you for a shift, for a reunion, for a release. It's not always dramatic. Not every dream will make perfect sense the moment you wake. But over time, they begin to form a mosaic, one only your heart can fully interpret. And when a soul connection is involved, like that of a twin flame, the dreams become even more layered. They might show the other person not as they are now, but as their soul wants to be, or reflect your own growth back to you through them, a mirror within a mirror. The beauty is, you don't have to figure it all out. You just have to feel it. Write it down. Hold space for it. Let the symbols work on you like poetry, unfolding meaning in their own time. And when the signs are strong, when the dream shakes you, speaks to you, moves you, don't ignore it. Because that's the universe offering you something sacred. Perspective. Clarity. A reminder that you are being guided even when it feels like you're lost. So instead of waking up and rushing into your day, pause. Ask, what is this dream trying to show me? What emotion lingers? What truth have I been avoiding that this dream just brought to light? You may not get the answer right away, but trust, it's already working through you. Because when the universe wants your attention, it doesn't always send thunder. Sometimes it sends a dream. And in that dream, you remember not just who they are, but who you are becoming. We spend most of our lives searching for explanations, for answers, for a way to make everything fit inside the lines of logic. But when it comes to the soul, and the dreams that come from it, logic often falls short. Because what you're experiencing isn't just psychological, it's spiritual. The dreams you've had, the feelings they stirred, the images, the signs, the messages, they weren't meant to be dissected like puzzles. They were meant to be felt. And that's the hardest part for the mind, letting go of control, surrendering the need to figure it out, accepting that some things are real even if they can't be proven. You dream of someone you haven't seen in years and wake up in tears. You see a symbol in your dream, and then again the next day in waking life. You feel like your heart is trying to speak, but the words don't exist. That's not madness. That's mystery. And mystery is the language of the soul. You're not meant to have it all mapped out. You're meant to trust the unfolding. Because dreams, especially those connected to deep soul bonds, don't arrive with explanations. They arrive to shift you, to soften you, to guide you inward back to what is true, not just what is known. The soul doesn't use words. It uses symbols, feelings, vibrations. And sometimes the message isn't "this means that." Sometimes the message is simply, "Feel this. Remember this. Be present with this." And that's more than enough. So if you're waiting for the moment where it all suddenly makes sense, you may miss the beauty that's unfolding in the now. The mystery isn't here to frustrate you. It's here to awaken you, to humble you, to teach you how to live from your heart attack, not just your head. And the more you learn to surrender, to breathe into the unknown, to sit with the signs without needing to solve them, the more peace begins to rise. Because the soul doesn't need everything to be explained. It only needs to be honored. So let the dream be what it was. Let the feeling linger. Let the connection speak, even in silence. You're not lost, you're listening. And that, more than anything, is the beginning of true awakening. If this spoke to your heart, it's because your soul remembers. These dreams, these feelings, these quiet moments in the night. This is just one step in your twin flame journey. We've only begun to explore the signs, the mysteries, the healing, and the divine timing that brings souls back home to themselves. So stay with us, subscribe, turn on notifications, and share your story in the comments. Because your journey matters, and you were never meant to walk it alone. We're just getting started.